Hello and welcome to the SOTO meet in Garden Grove, California, not far from Disneyland, USA. My name's Terry Clanton for Raz Video. This is probably the largest collection of antique Volkswagen buses anywhere in the world. These people have come from different parts of the world to be here. Let's take a look at these fine buses.
Thank you, Terry. It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon in sunny Southern California. To be precise, we're at Claremont High School in Garden Grove, California. What are we here for? The 5th anniversary of the SOTO Club's VW Bus Show. As Terry mentioned, there's people from all over the U.S., not only from New Mexico, California, Arizona, Oregon, Utah, and Washington, people as far away as New Jersey, New York, Florida, and Maine. We can even top that. We've got several people from faraway places like Japan, France, West Germany, and even Puerto Rico. Like everyone else, they're here to admire, trade, buy, sell, and look at all the buses here. Right now, we're going to switch to Steve Nye, and he's going to be with some of those fantastic VW bus boys.
This is Charlie Hamill from the well-known bus stop, and he's here to tell you a little about the buses he brought today.
Okay, Steve. Well, the first one here, the 58 pickup, is probably my favorite. It's got 9,000 original miles on it, complete original condition, unrestored. Doesn't get out of the garage much just to come to the shows here. Next, I've got the 60 double door that we restored last year. Was pretty nice to begin with, but it still needed a year's work to be in the condition it's in now.
Thanks to Stuart and Charlie Hamill from the Bus Boys. The Bus Boys are a business devoted to the restoration of VW buses, as well as selling any part that you may ever desire for a VW. They also manufacture some parts for these fabulous, nostalgic machines. I don't think there's another place in the world where you'll see more nostalgic VW buses displayed at one time than there is here today at the 5th annual SOTO meet. There are probably in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 buses here today. If you wanted to buy one of these buses back in 1955, you could have picked up a strip combi for about $1,495 US dollars, or 6,270 Deutsche Marks. If you wanted the top-of-the-line VW microbus, you'd have had to pay $1,919, or approximately 8,050 Deutsche Marks. Pretty cheap by today's standards. The first models of transportation that VW produced were in 1950, and they were the combi and the panel. Later in that same year, the standard microbus was introduced. There are not too many of these early buses left in running condition, but you can bet most of them that are running, they're right here with us today. Many people do not realize how big the SOTO Club is. In addition to our Southern California chapter, we have chapters around the United States of America. We have a Hawaiian chapter and a Fairbanks, Alaska chapter. Of course, these organizations are not only United States oriented, there are clubs in virtually every country around the globe. The best part about VWs are not really the vehicles themselves. The best part comes from the people who own them. They come from all walks of life, but they have one common love, the Volkswagen. They tend to be less snobby than people who own big, fancy rigs. You know, cars like Caddies and stuff like that. We have interviews with several Volkswagen aficionados in this piece. Take a look. You never know. You may be one of them. Howie Zechner has Franz Schreiber, and he is like anyone that you have ever met at a Volkswagen meet. In fact, Franz has come all the way from West Germany for this meet. Let's switch now to Howie Zechner and his guest, Franz Schreiber.
What do you guys think out for? We get a lot of visitors to these meets. They come from all over. We've got a gentleman here from Germany. Let me introduce him.
Hello, how are you?
What is your name?
Franz Scheibert.
Tell us about your car.
Well, I tell you something very much. I like these cars very much. I have this for sale for only 3,500 American dollars. And it is really a good deal. I drive this all over the country. People freak out. They go, is that really a German car? And I say, what do you think? But you think I'm stupid? I got this great looking American false gold. It's great. People, you love it? Come buy this car, $3,500. You could drive this too and talk just like this. Is that good, eh? Is that? Auf Wiedersehen.
Thanks, Franz. And now back to Terry.
As we walk through this SOTO meet in Garden Grove, these buses come in all shapes and sizes. But I'll bet you've never seen one like this. A 1956 bus, shortened by about 10 feet. What do you think?
Well, Terry, what do I think? The designers in Germany would probably roll over in their graves if they saw that particular VW. It's pretty amazing how versatile this group of people is. Back when Volkswagen originally manufactured these vehicles in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, only older folks drove them. Younger people wouldn't be seen in them. They were considered uncool. And in a time when groovy was in, you're only too hip if you cruise in a gas-guzzling V8. If it didn't rattle your ears and rumble the ground, it was square. In the 1960s, the hippies discovered the bus scene. Flower power was in. So were VW buses, painted in fluorescent colors and decorated with flowers. The peace sign and the VW logo seemed to go hand in hand. They not only used these vehicles as a means of transportation, but many times they were a 1960s crash pad. Fast on the heels of the hippies, the surfers packed their boards to catch waves at their favorite local beaches. The surfers didn't lavishly decorate them like the hippies, but they realized just how practical these German-made machines were.
Hi, my name's Steve Nye. These are a few of the buses in my collection. This is a 1956 fire truck with 14,000 kilometers on it. This is a 65 ambulance with about the same amount of kilometers on it. This is a 56 combi microbus with about 40,000 miles on it original. This is a 1957 deluxe non-sunroof with about the same amount of mileage on it. And this is a 67 combi with 1,800 original miles on it. And these are a few of the cars that I have. I started collecting these about 5 years ago, and I've had over 35 buses and probably 10 or 15 other assorted Volkswagens. This fire truck came over from Germany. It has a lot of its original equipment inside, and the original light on the roof, and the horns and everything still do the da-dee-da-da sound that they do over in Germany. The paint, about half is original and about half has been repainted over in Germany before I bought the vehicle. Motor's all original, never been gone through, runs great. It's all basically the way it came from the factory. When you crank start it, it's pretty easy to crank start, deciding what you think. That was from a volunteer fire department. They used it up until about 2 years ago when it was retired. Okay, this fire truck was a 1956. It has a 36 horsepower motor and a crash box transmission. It sure would be slow going to a fire. I can't imagine they used these things, but they did. They used it up until about 2 years ago when it was retired and brought over to the United States full of parts to be sold here. It's basically needs a little bit more restoration work to finish it, but overall it was pretty correct and pretty original. Has original tires, original interior, door panels, seat, and everything was kept in nice condition because of the German weather. The semi-fours work. That one's a little lazy, and it drives real nice. It drives like a new car with only about 10,000 miles or less on it. This is a 65 ambulance that came over from Europe. It was used by a dynamite company. When they retired it about a year ago or so, they decided to go ahead and sell it, and we have a friend in Europe that sent that one over. There it says the Dynamite Corporation on the door and where it was from. It's real complete, real nice condition. Again, the coolness of the European weather kept all the interior and upholstery in very nice condition. And then being used by a private company, it wasn't worn out like all the rest of them were. It's about 80% original paint with just a little bit of lower work was done to it. It has the blue light and the cross light, which they had two different cross lights. They had that one and they had the Maltese cross. It runs beautiful. It has a 1500 motor. It has its original tires on it. Everything was in pretty nice shape when we got it. Not much had to be replaced. It was in well cared for, being in a garage. This is one of the few that came over. It still had its original plate on it. It goes along with the rest of the collection as being an oddity type piece. They had these steps on a lot of the ambulances over in Europe. They used them to step in and out of the bus. This one here has a lot of its original stuff inside of it. It was used pretty heavily. This is a 56 combi that we bought from New Mexico. It has a 36 horsepower motor, which is also crank start. It was bought off the original owner with only about 35,000 miles, and then we've put a few more on it since then. The whole underneath carriage is all detailed. It was repainted on the outside once. The inside's original paint, upholstery, headliner, everything. Most of the rubber is original on the car. It was in New Mexico, but it was always garage kept, and no smog or anything, so everything stayed in pretty nice shape. All the chrome and everything on the car was original. These cars originally were pinstriped from Volkswagen from about 54 till about 58 when they had the early bumpers on them, and then later they stopped doing that. The upholstery, like I say, was very original. She only used the car to go out oil painting in every once in a while in the Grand Canyon, and other than that it kind of sat in the barn or went to the grocery store. It also drives like a new vehicle with as few miles on it that it has, and it's tight with no rattles or anything. It runs real well. It had original tires on it, but they were pretty far gone, so we had to buy tires for that one. It came with its correct tool bag and everything else. This is a 57 Combi that had been through a few different Volkswagen nuts until we got it, and we've had it about 5 or 6 years. It has a lot of different optional items on it, like the spotlight mirrors here made by Hella, and these pull-out steps made by VW of America. It has a lot of other different things. This coffee pot came over from Europe. It's 6 volt, and it works. And then the inside was pretty clean. It's mostly original. Paint on the dash is original. It has Safari windows in it. These were an NOS set that we put in it a few years back. We've had this one the longest. It needs to be worked on yet, but it was in pretty nice overall condition. I started about 15 years ago in Volkswagens, with my first car being a 57 Carmen Ghia that I still own and plan on restoring someday. And slowly I got into Ghias for a while, and then when I got my first bus, I fell in love, and I've bought a lot of buses since then.
We've already told you that a lot of these people drive a long ways to come to this SOTO meet. Dennis here has come all the way from New Jersey.
Yes, I did. I didn't drive, I flew.
You flew, but you have a bus.
Yes, I do. To get here by June, I would have to have left in April. But I flew in yesterday just for this meet.
Do you have a restored bus?
It's in the process. It's in the process. It was originally used for duck hunting. It's camouflage. They used to lift the top and shoot out through the top of it.
Living in New Jersey, how do you keep it from salting away?
You don't drive it in the winter. It's too cold anyway.
So you come out to Southern California every year for this?
No, this is the first one. This is the first one, yep.
Well, we'd like to thank you for coming out all the way from New Jersey.
It was my pleasure.
What a change it must be coming from New Jersey to sunny Garden Grove, California. With weather like this, he may become a Southern California resident. Good news for him, he will not have to fight rust on his bus in our Southern California climate. Buses are not the only thing here today. A lot of part swapping takes place. VW parts have gained in value over the years. An old original taillight or radio will draw a pretty penny at a meet like this. Not only parts, but entire vehicles change hands at these gatherings. Some people make their living out of having parts and vehicles for sale to collectors, enthusiasts, and dealers. They travel all over the globe in search of that special piece for the value customer. The Japanese, who have been buying many of these, are looking forward to this meet so that they can take home much of the nicer tin. Speaking of Japan, Howie has encountered a hard-sell VW buff. Let's switch to them now. Take it away, Howie.
Meeting really interesting people here. They're from all over. We have a gentleman here from Japan. What is your name, sir?
Kira. So glad to meet you. Thank you very much.
Tell us about your VW.
Volkswagen, Winky Winky, very funny. Many American friends, we like to watch a very good video and see a VW Volkswagen bus. I have many Volkswagen bus all over the United States, and I bring them in from Tokyo. Very glad to meet you. My name is Akira. Watch away for false gold. False gold, no good. Lot of gold in Volkswagen bus. Sayonara. Thank you.
Wait a second. Haven't I seen that Akira before? To me, he looks quite familiar. Earlier in this tape, we mentioned that there were some people who make their entire living from selling Volkswagen parts. Right now, we're going to meet just such a person, and his name is not Akira. He is not only in the parts business, but he also happens to be a big-time collector. Of course, we're talking about Bob Scott, the owner of Vintage Volkswagens. If you ever need a hard-to-find VW part, he is the man to call. If you would like to learn more about Bob, Vintage Volkswagens, or any other dealer on this tape, contact us at Raz.
Visiting with Bob Scott, world-famous parts salesman. How did you ever get involved in these VW parts?
I got involved in VW parts when I was an actor, and these things kind of threw themselves at me, and I quit acting and went into the Volkswagen business.
How long have you been selling these parts?
15 years.
What kind of parts do you sell here?
We specialize in bug and bus parts, 1967 to 1949.
These people are real serious
Old
about this
stuff,
stuff, aren't they?
Yeah. We manufacture, right behind us here is a board that these are parts we make.
Do you actually remanufacture it, or is it are the original parts?
Many are original, many are remanufactured.
Well, thank you for visiting with us.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob. Now here's an example of a couple of ultra-nice Deluxes. The Deluxe is considered to be the flagship of the VW bus line. They come with both 19 and 27 windows. They also come with a full sunroof. This particular one has safari windows and a roof rack. Hey, there's a couple of interesting VW enthusiasts. Now back to Terry. Hey Terry, what's a boat do in the middle of a SOTO meet?
Here at the SOTO meet, we've seen everything from ambulances to fire trucks. And I'm standing with Randy. And Randy, you have an extravaganza here. Tell us about these vehicles.
Well, actually, it's been my lifelong hobby for about 20 years. This here's a 55 bus. It's pretty trick. It's got right-hand drive, safari windows, semaphores, Porsche motor. It's got a boat attached. It's got a few problems with the boat, though. One major problem.
What's that?
Well, you have to turn the bus upside down to launch the boat. Now, it's really a drag.
Yeah.
Especially in traffic. But I think it's one of probably the biggest accessory you could ever put on a Volkswagen. It's got to be. I'm trying to sell it today. It's just been sitting around. I've got a lot of Volkswagens at home.
Great for the fishing enthusiast.
Yeah, I'm an enthusiast, but I got several boats. But it's sitting on this car hauler. It's a 68 truck. Built by a friend of mine, Dennis Rose. I use it to haul. I have some split windows, and I haul them to car shows to show them. And basically, it's been lengthened 5 feet. It's got a Type 3 rear suspension on the back to give it the 4-wheel rear end. It's got a 2-liter 911 motor in it. Goes pretty good. Put a car on top, haul a car behind it. Goes about 75, 80 miles an hour if you really want to go that fast. But I usually drive the speed limit because it attracts a lot of attention. And I hit a lot of car shows.
Both of these are very rare pieces, aren't they?
I would say so. The car hauler is probably one of a kind. The bus, the 55, is pretty unique also. I don't know if you can see the rear window is like a safari window. That's kind of custom made. And it's a double door. You can open that door right there and jump your motorcycle right through it, if you ever had the occasion.
Well, we'd like to thank you for bringing both the pieces out this afternoon.
Well, I have a lot of fun. I usually make SOTO meets, and it's great to be here.
That is about as unusual as I have ever seen. A boat and a right-hand drive? Come on. Randy has been a long-time enthusiast, and you can always count on him to have something wild. As we go walking through this meet, we see some fine examples of nice VW transporters. The owner of this 63 Deluxe did not name his vehicle correctly. It is anything but a jalopy. Actually, it is another excellent example of a Deluxe. Because Deluxes are very popular, they carry the highest resale value of any of the Type 2s. Deluxes are the only model that come with chrome front VW emblems. All the others had painted ones. Deluxes were the only model that had curved glass in the back of the vehicle on each side. In addition, they were the first bus in the VW line to come with a rear bumper. That came about in 1953. Now that's what I call a VW enthusiast. Deluxes were the first of the Type 2s to have an inside rear mirror. Deluxe buses also had chrome that ran down the nose and around the entire bus. Although originally in black, you could order the rubber inside the chrome in different colors as of the early 1960s. Barn door Deluxes came with a solid VW emblem in the middle of the dash.
More foreign people here than Americans, I think. We've got somebody here from France. What's your name?
But of course, my name is Fifi. Oh, you want me to talk? Ladies and gentlemen, this is my mirror. My very nice French mirror. Fifi LaRue would like this. Watch the mirror. Hello. but it's most important to have one of these on my bus. You can see me too in the French movie Fifi Goes to SOTO Meet in Garden Grove.
Maybe it is my imagination, but don't you think all the foreigners look the same? Now, that's what I call a good-looking piece. Look at the fine lines. Hey, I was talking about that green and white Type 2 right there. It has to be one of the prettiest modified Type 2s at today's meet. It is obvious that someone has put a lot of hours and work into this vehicle. Hi, Alf. You only own this in California. Luckily, it seldom rains here. As we walk along, we see yet another deluxe. Although purple and white are not stock VW colors, they more than work on this vehicle. It's pretty amazing how much modification can be done to one of these incredible machines. Headlight shades and bullet turn signals. This is one very incredible Type 2. Back again, and back again too. The owner should be very proud. A large part of these VW meets is devoted to having a great time. That is the objective when you come to a VW meet. It doesn't matter what you drive or how you get there, as long as you have fun. Semaphores on a later bus. That's what I call unusual. Here is Terry with a very special treat.
A big part of all of these Volkswagen meets, especially the buses, is to find out how many people we can get inside of a bus. We got a lot of Southern California volunteers. Now pile in, and let's count them as we go. Oh, you count them. Here they come, piling on in. Oh yeah, do you believe this? That we're gonna get this many people in a Volkswagen bus? Oh yeah, pile on. We got a bar inside there, TVs, VCRs, we got all kinds of things in there. We charge an e-ticket admission for this also. No, just kidding. Come on now, pile in. I think the record's 49. Let's see what we can get in this one. Count them now, we're counting them.
Ow! Count off, right?
These guys are a bunch of wild people in Southern California, I'll tell you what. These bus meets are absolutely incredible. Must have been a big one, huh? Here they come, they're still piling in. I cannot believe it. It's a hot afternoon, though. It must smell good inside that van. Here they come. They're still piling in. I don't know where they're putting them all in there. They all must be watching TV and sitting at the bar. This is it. Uh-oh, it's getting pretty tight in there. I don't know. Oh, this is a big boy here. I don't know if we're going to get him in. Oh, I don't know if we're going to get these guys. Oh, come on now. Easy. How many is that? 84 people. Come on, keep piling them through. 84. Oh, here's a Southern California local. Okay, we got a couple little small ones. Now we can squeeze them in. Oh, let's see. What do you think? How many people is that? How many people is that? That's got to be a new world's record. How many people is that?
102 I got.
102 people. I think we have a new world's record here.
102 people? That's incredible.
Well, my name's Bart Foreman, and I'm from Canyon Country, and it's a 66 transporter pickup, and I've converted the suspension over to IRS so I could fit the big Corvette wheels and disc brakes in the front from a late bus, and everything came together with a little machine work and, you know, a little bit of parts hunting at the swap meets.
Was the canvas original with the bus when you bought it?
Yes, I bought it with the bus. I was lucky enough to grab it with the car when I bought it, so they're hard to find.
All right, you've been taking it out to any other shows or anything like that, or is this the first time?
Well, I've been to the SOTO meets a few times, and I did go to the VW Classic a couple years ago, but I pretty much just bring it out, you know, for these bus meets, and I drive it 500 miles a week, so, you know, it gets driven. It's not just a show car, so.
Oh, so then it's looks and a daily driver, too.
Yeah, you bet. It gets beat on quite a bit. It gets driven hard.
Now that's what I call a daily driver. But seriously, as we continue our walkthrough, we will give you some VW trivia. Did you know that there is no such thing as a walk-through barn door? Walkthroughs didn't happen until the body style change in March of 1956. So if you've seen one, it was only due to somebody with too many beers and a chainsaw. How about this? For a small amount of time in 1952, some panel vans were built with a sliding door. Then late in 52, VW stopped it for who knows what reason. How'd you like to stumble on one of these guys in a junkyard? Then you have the following. The ambulance was the first bus to come standard with a gas gauge. If you use your imagination, you could probably guess why. I mean, if you've got some guy in the back with his leg sawed off, you don't want to be looking for a self-serve. Bet you didn't know that 67 was the only year of split windshield buses that the gas door didn't have a lock on it. This year, all you had to do was push on it to open it. Finally, 58 and earlier bus bumpers are different than single cab bumpers. If you have an early single cab, then you can only put a truck bumper on it. The bus bumpers will not fit right. This, of course, also means that the inside corner splash guards are different for earlier buses and trucks, too. Want to learn more about your bus? You can write Volkswagen yourself. The address is Volkswagen Werks AG, Customer Relations, Postfach, that's spelled P-O-S-T-F-A-C-H, 3180 Wolfsburg 1, West Germany. As we continue our travels through the SOTO meet at Claremont High School in Garden Grove, California, there are fine examples of a number of machines here for sale. They're not all brand new. You saw that small car on top of that bus? The car went for $1,400 and they threw the bus in. There's Barry. He's the proud owner of Barry's Boneyard here in Southern California. Barry sells all kinds of parts, not only for VW buses, but also for Volkswagen things. Now, for those of you who do not know, the Volkswagen thing was only offered in the USA for a limited amount of years. That means the parts are pretty scarce. If you need them, go to Barry. Check out that Cowlux Semi-Deluxe. It's lowered, has alloy rims, a roof rack, safari windows, and lots of chrome. As you can tell, stock colors are extremely popular with Cowlux buses. And now back to Terry with another interesting guest.
I'm visiting right now with Rick Wood in a very interesting piece here you have. A fire truck. Rick, where did you get this thing?
I bought it near Bitburg in Germany and brought it back last January because I'm in the Air Force and we returned after a 3 years tour in Germany.
What made you decide to bring back a fire truck from Germany?
I couldn't find an ambulance. I was looking for an ambulance. The reason I went over was to find an ambulance to bring back, and all I could find was a fire truck, so I'm happy with it.
Have you always been a Volkswagen enthusiast?
Since about 1982, I bought my first 66 Beetle in South Carolina and took it with me to Germany, and then just got into it from there. Got into the magazines and the shows and stuff.
So you bought this and you just put it on a boat and shipped it over here?
Yeah, I contracted with somebody in Germany, and they brought it straight into Long Beach, and then I picked it up there.
Well, show me some of these things. You actually don't just have the vehicle, you have the things to go with it, the accessories. Show these to me.
Okay, when I bought it, it was an empty van, and I've got 8 fire hoses, 2 nozzles. I got this fire extinguisher, which was built in 1957 with the wood handle and the ferrite bell. I found this at a flea market in Germany. It's full of medical supplies, so if they had any injured people, they could treat them. A hose rack. I've got all the valve tools to turn on valves, and crowbars and things of this nature. A total of 4 fire extinguishers, so I can fight a good-sized fire. Plus, it's a semaphore equipped, which was the last year in Germany that it was semaphore equipped.
You look kind of funny now fighting a fire in the 80s with this.
Yeah, it's kind of antiquated, but they still use these. There's a 61 in Germany still operating, and they use it whenever they have to.
How do they actually pump the water out of these small vehicles?
Well, there's a Volkswagen run pump. It's run by a 1200cc Volkswagen engine, and it goes to a river or a lake or whatever body source is close, and then they pump water out and to the fire. And it's distributed through a series of other trucks which control the flow and stuff and add foam to it, things of this nature. They took me on a training drive one time and I got to see all this.
Are you actually a fireman yourself?
No, I work on the OV-10 Bronco, a small twin-engine prop airplane for the Air Force.
So we'd like to thank you for coming out all the way to Garden Grove, and you have a nice piece here.
Well, thank you very much. I'm pretty proud of it. It needs some work, but I'm proud of her.
The ultimate fire truck here at the SOTO meet in Garden Grove.
2 early model Volkswagen fire trucks at Claremont High School SOTO meet. Unbelievable. You wouldn't think there were 2 of them left in the world right now, but Volkswagen also made hooks and ladders, ambulances, tow trucks, and moving vans to boot. We're just about ready to go back to Terry with another interesting guest.
I'm visiting right now with Jeff Walters, the founder of SOTO. Tell us a little bit about your meet.
Well, this is the 5th anniversary meet. So we started 5 years ago, and it started out as a bunch of guys tired of going to all the Beetle happenings, so we thought we'd have our own little deal. So the first meet we had 35 buses, and then the first anniversary meet we had 105, and now it's out of control.
Now it's out of control.
Right.
So this is actually a business for you?
No. In fact, I will only be president in another month or 2. I've done it 5 years, and I'll be giving the club over to Steve Nye, who lives right here in Anaheim, and he'll be the new guy.
How long have you been involved with Volkswagen buses?
About 5.5 years. I got into buses about 6 months earlier, 6 months, and then we thought, well, we need to do something with buses, so here it is.
You've done a great job. You ought to be congratulated.
Thanks very much. Thanks. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Met a lot of neat people.
It is a lot of fun out here at Garden Grove at the SOTO meet.
It is.
The SOTO meet at Claremont High in Garden Grove was Jeff Walters' last meet as president of the SOTO Club. After 5 years, Jeff decided to retire as the president. Jeff also pens a monthly column for Hot VW magazine. It is a hardcore VW magazine for supporters. Stop by your local newsstand and pick one up and read what Jeff has to say about VWs. This SOTO meet, the 5th anniversary SOTO meet, is covered in the September issue of Hot VW's magazine. You never know, your van might be in it.
Jeff's junk. That must mean one man's junk, another man's treasure. Jeff Junk. Jeff, come on over here and tell me about your junk. How you doing, sir?
Oh, good, good. How are you?
Good. What are you selling here? Is it actually junk?
Oh, well, to some people, but turns a good profit, you know.
How long have you been selling this stuff?
Oh, about 4 or 5 years.
You're an enthusiast. Is this a side business for you?
Yes, it is.
And you make extra money and do what with it?
Oh, I just put it into my junkers.
What kind of junkers do you have?
Oh, you want a list?
Yeah, let's hear about them.
I got a 57 panel, a 62 convertible, 67 notchback, a 55 sedan, 66 deluxe.
So it sounds like if anybody's an enthusiast, you are.
Unfortunately.
And how long have you been doing this?
About 10 years altogether.
About 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to thank you for coming out this afternoon.
Great, thank you.
Jeff's Junk. We got it all here at the SOTO meet.
We have it all, that's for sure. We see ambulances, fire trucks. That's a Vestelwagen right there. They were made in Switzerland. The first thing you learn as a VW enthusiast is there is no such thing as junk. Parts get recycled, cars get brought back from the grave that never should have been. Check that guy out. There's a youngster who's a future SOTO member for sure. He's going to have his own bus collection in a few years. Now, there's an enthusiast I could really get involved with. You can tell this guy's got the same idea. The people not only come out here to take pictures of the buses, they come out here to take pictures of the pretty girls. Now, you don't have to come to a SOTO meet just to buy parts or buy a bus. As you can see by this display, there's such things here as puzzles, signs. There's every kind of VW paraphernalia here you could imagine, from telephones all the way to clocks. Thus far, we've talked a lot about deluxes, but campers were also very popular. Let's take a real close look now at a fine example of a Volkswagen camper.
As we're walking through this SOTO meet, now what is this here? This looks like a tent, maybe a circus tent. Let's see if we can, is there anybody home in there?
Hello.
Hello, what's your name, sir?
Rick Crandall. Yes.
Rick Crandall, what is it? Oh, it is a house. Oh, it's a bus. Here we go. What is this?
This is our summer home. We're on vacation here in LA on our way back to Oregon, and we just happened to see this meet here where these buses were.
What year bus is this?
Well, this is a 1966 European model Westphalia, delivered from the factory. Somebody bought overseas and imported themselves, and we just happened to chance upon it in the Seattle Times one day. Yeah.
And you restored the whole thing, and now it's your summer home?
Basically unrestored. We painted the bottom half of the bus and chromed the bumpers and cleaned up and spruced a few things up, and that's about it.
How do you keep this tent and all this in good condition?
We just don't use it.
Where do you travel to in this bus?
L.A.
You don't actually take it to Yosemite or anything?
Well, no, actually we're on our way to Oregon from here to go fishing at Diamond Lake for a week after we're done here.
I'll bet you draw a lot of attention in this bus with this ultimate setup.
It's kind of like a three-ring circus.
Tell us about some of the things you have inside.
Okay, right in here there's a cabana for a bathroom. It's I don't have the bathroom with me right now, but that's part of a dressing room, and inside on top here there's a pair of cots that are for little kids and such, and then there's some in the front for suitcase or what have you.
So you actually have a cot above the front driver's seat.
Exactly. And this bus has some pretty odd items that came with it originally from the factory, like a factory Blaupunkt AM/FM shortwave with a scan, which I had no idea was in it until I hit the button one day by accident. And all the buses still has European specs, kilometers, unsealed headlights, tow hooks, all that sort of thing. It's pretty much the way we found it.
It's the ultimate camper.
Pretty close.
Well, we'd like to thank you for bringing it out to the SOTO meet today in Garden Grove.
Well, thank you very much.
The ultimate bus. What do you think, folks?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not a camper, but if I was, that's a vehicle I'd choose to do my camping in. Steve Nye, the new president of the SOTO Club, what do you think of this meet thus far?
Oh, it's been real interesting. There's a lot of nice vehicles out here this time. Look at this one coming up here with suicide doors, alloys, and a sunroof on a combi with a lot of chrome. Looks nice.
What is a suicide door?
That's a door that opens up backwards from the way we're used to them. They call them suicide doors because sometimes they pop open and fly backwards and you got to hang on for life or fall out.
Speaking of popping open and flying backwards, check that out, Steve.
Oh, that's great. I didn't see too many of those around anymore.
Looks like a 1956 model to me.
At least, if not 55 or 57. Looks like it has a lot of original parts left on it. And speaking of original parts, here's BFY Unlimited with their selection that they brought out today for the meet. Looks like a lot of neat stuff. There's a pair of early taillights. There's a clock and grill for an oval window that a lot of people would probably die for. I see a gas gauge and a clock. Oh, look, there's an early van from Japan.
Tell you what, at this SOTO meet, not only is there a lot of Volkswagen buses, there's a lot of pretty women, too. Let's find out why all the women come out to these SOTO meets.
Came out here to see all the bugs, and my boyfriend's buying parts for the show.
You having a good time?
I'm having a blast.
Why did you girls come out this afternoon?
It's a party! Yeah, that's, you said it.
Are you having a good time?
Yeah, I'm having a great time. It's bitchin'. Come out here once a year. It's great. Party.
Have a great time. It's fantastic. I like it.
I'm having a great time. A lot of fun.
I'm having a great time.
They say the best-looking girls in Southern California come out to the SOTO meet, and I firmly believe that now.
I'll tell you, that guy Terry Clanton, he's down there flirting with all these good-looking chicks at this meet, and I'm up here slaving away with Steve Nye. Check out the suicide doors on that thing. Can you imagine going down the freeway and having a fight with your wife or your girlfriend? She could kick you out on your rear end with no problem at all. What do you think, Steve?
That's the first time I've seen suicide doors on a bus. They sure did come out nice, and they even work for a change. That's a real neat idea. That's a nice-looking bus. Look, they even filled some engine vents on it. And it's got a sunroof, too. They did make combis with sunroofs, but they were special order from Volkswagen. But who knows if this is an original one or not.
Check out this next vehicle coming up, Steve. You notice anything special about that?
A lot of chrome, nice 5-spoke alloys on it.
We have all kinds of people walking around this 5th anniversary SOTO meet. We have the strange and the not so strange. Speaking of strange, who's that, Steve?
That's Hermine Stover. She does our bathing about column, and she's also head of the high roof registry.
Steve, where can we read these pieces that Hermine writes?
Hermine writes for the SOTO newsletter. She does the bathing about column, and coming up shortly, she's going to start a new column on how to work on a car from a woman's point of view. She does most of her own work and has done some really nice work.
We've seen buses, but have you ever seen the ultimate bus? This is a race van. We've seen them in Southern California. Most of them are Fords, most of them are Chevys. But to get around Southern California's race circuit, you got to have good gas mileage. Kevin, you're the owner of this proud beauty.
That's right.
What year is this thing?
This is a 69.
A 1969. Do you actually race motorcycles in Southern California?
Well, just for fun. Use it to pull boats, fill it up with junk, motorcycles, anything.
It's got to be good on gas.
It's great on gas, you know, 20, 23 miles a gallon. Had other engines in it besides the VW. I've had Corvair engines in it. Going to put a V6 water-cooled engine in it.
You actually have a queen-size bed in there, too.
A queen-size bed, yeah. All the girls love it. You know, plenty of room. While you're out playing with your windsurfer or motorcycle, they can just crash in the back.
So how long have you had this van?
Well, it's since 1970.
Have you done a lot of restoration on it?
Very little restoration. Just did a little modification, flared the wheels, cut sliding windows in the roof.
There actually isn't very many of these buses around, is there?
Well, I just saw the first one a couple weeks ago here in Southern California. A lady just imported it, but I've never seen another one.
Well, we'd like to thank you for bringing it out today.
Sure, you bet.
I can tell you one thing. I live in Southern California. I've never seen either of those, and I've never seen another one anywhere else. How many do you think there are in the country, Steve?
Well, we know of 2, but they're always hiding out there in the woodwork somewhere.
Now, there's a good-looking pickup, Steve. What can you tell us about that one?
Well, that belongs to Seth Gay. It's a 1960. It was stolen from him a while back, and he recovered it, and this is what it looks like now after years of work and a lot of manpower and elbow grease.
Where did he ever find it after it was stolen from?
Oh, they called him up and said, here it is, what's left of it.
So it was like these parts right here. You had to build it from scratch again?
That's exactly right. With a lot of help from the shops around town, it looks like what it does today.
Thankfully, VWs that are missing parts are easily put back on the roads these days, aren't they, Steve?
Yeah, that's right. With a selection of parts like these, you can almost build anything back from the dead.
Looks like you could build a van from the ground up just this SOTO meet alone with all these parts.
Yeah, you probably could. There's enough of them.
These SOTO meets, I love them! We get these things from all over the country, folks. From the Catskill Mountains, from New Mexico to New Orleans. And boy, I tell you, this guy's really going to be bummed out because I just messed up his little curtain.
Didn't I see a German here look just like that?
Yeah.
I thought I saw a Japanese guy look the same.
I saw.
And a Frenchman, too. Oui. Look at the size of that key. I don't think it'd unlock my VW door. What do you think it unlocks?
It probably unlocks this little toy right here. Look, doesn't it look like it'd fit that thing?
That thing looks like it was made in Tijuana back about 1958.
How big are VWs here in Southern California? Well, they're about this big. Here's a great example of a high top. They brought this down from up north. Got it ready for the show in about 3 days. Earl Scheib, eat your heart out.
Thanks, Howie. That's Howie Zechner, the owner of Raz Video. They put this piece together on the VWs. If you like this tape, why don't you give Howie a call, and they'll let you know about the other VW tapes they have for sale. You can contact Raz Video at 1828 East Walnut. That's Pasadena, California, 91107. Phone number is 818-449-1175.
My name's Bob Ripple, and this is my bus right here. I've had it for about 3 years, going on 4, and I'm trying to keep it up as most as possible. Like all old buses, the body rod's coming through it and all that, but trying to keep the chrome shine and all that's pretty much a job. So.
Looks like there's a couple interesting features in the bus. Could you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I think one of the interestingest features about it is the deck lid in the back that somebody had cut through. I bought it that way, and I put a couple of the door hinges on it that come on the newer vehicles with the hydraulic jack, so I just have to lift it and it pops right up. The paint job's custom on it, and the tires are nice tires. I did the interior myself, redid it, just put a new seat in it and everything. It's pretty sharp looking, stereo system and all that, and trying to put it back together.
Most people who are watching this tape are members of SOTO, but if they're not, how do they go about joining, Steve?
Well, they just need to write to SOTO, 211 South State College Boulevard, Suite 328, Anaheim, California, 92816.
As we continue to have a good time here at this SOTO meet, I stopped by for lunch with the Fuller family. You've come a long ways for this event.
Yep, from Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, what brings you out today to the SOTO meet?
All the vans and all the interest in buying parts for our vehicles. We have many.
And you have a nice trailer. Now, how did you make that trailer?
I took pieces from a van and welded them all together and used the gates off of a double cab to build it, and then welded everything in the back engine compartment together for the ramp. It folds down so you can load things up.
So the whole family comes out here. You having a good time?
Yeah, great time.
You come out here every year?
Oh, when we can.
Well, we'd like to welcome you to Southern California and the SOTO meet.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great day here at the SOTO meet with the Fuller family eating lunch.
I'm not a big Volkswagen aficionado, Steve, but that's one of the nicer looking trailer setups that I've ever seen.
The trailer and the bus looked real nice, and they match real well, too. They used original colors on them. It looks real neat. A lot of work went into those, both vehicles.
How many Volkswagen aficionados do you get at a meeting like this, Steve?
Oh, it's in the thousands. We get all kinds. We also get all kinds of buses. This is a nice example of a doormobile camper that were manufactured in England. This was an export model because it's left-hand drive. I believe this one came from up north. It has a gas heater. Looks like the motor compartment's real nice. Let's take a little walk through the inside and see what all kinds of features these came with. It looks like they were pretty similar to a Westphalia, except the roof hatch opening. This one has a roof cot that opens up to hold one person. It looks like it's pretty easy to use, and it folds and opens and closes pretty nicely. It looks like she's not having too much trouble with it. When it folds up, it appears that it has a nice little cover that goes over the top of it, so you don't even know it's there. Roof windows were also a part of the Doormobile. It added extra light into the bus and made it nice when you're laying up on the top so you could see out. They also had roof vents to let out the hot air that was inside the buses. This one has a nice fold-up table on the outside of the bus to put your Coleman lantern on or make sandwiches or whatever you want.
So Steve, is the SOTO Club associated with Volkswagen of America or Volkswagen AG?
No, we're not associated with Volkswagen of America. We're a non-profit organization with the preservation of early Volkswagen buses in mind. We don't mind if they're cow-look or whatever, just as long as they're saved and on the road. We put out a monthly newsletter. If you're selling your bus or want to buy a bus, there's the ad cars for sale. We also have parts for sale, and if you're looking for a special part for your bus or can't find parts in the particular area that you live in, we have a wanted column that you can write in asking for certain things that you need for your buses. We also have 4 meets a year, and we have 2 up north. We also have a Bay Area chapter up north that puts on meetings a couple times a year. It's a real fun thing to have, and it gives people with early buses a chance to get out and get together and have a good time.
As we walk around this SOTO meet, a beautiful bus. And elaborating on a stereo system, anytime in Southern California, you always find somebody that's a stereo enthusiast and a stereo installer. This thing has 500 watts of power. It's not often you find a beautiful bus like this that has more horsepower in the stereo system than in the engine compartment.
I noticed the scoops on the back of this bus. They weren't made by Volkswagen, but they were a big aftermarket product a few years back.
We found a very interesting couple. How you guys doing? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Nice hairdo.
Oh, yeah, I had my barber did it, yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing just great. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I'm having a good time.
Hey Terry, isn't that the girl you took out the other night? Check out these suicide doors coming up here, Steve.
Yeah, that seems to be a real popular modification with the buses as well as the bugs. It looks like they've been working on this one, and they're almost finished with it. Pretty soon they'll have a nice bus.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm right down here at the infamous swap meet here at SOTO. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you like the swap meet here today?
As this afternoon draws into early evening, the 5th anniversary meeting of the SOTO Club is about to end. We've seen every kind of VW bus in the world here today. Steve, is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Well, it looks like it was a real fun meet, and we hope to have the same turnout next year. Always the more the merrier.
I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful afternoon with us at this SOTO meet in Garden Grove, California. Some interesting vehicles, to say the least. For Raz Video, my name's Terry Clanton. Have a good day.
Adios, my friends. That is little Spanish, but for my Spanish friends, adieu.
If you like this tape, we want you to take a quick preview of our next VW tape. It's the Al Martinez VW Jamboree at the Orange County Fairgrounds in Costa Mesa, California.